Hello. Once again, welcome to Brand Institute of Forensics and Security. My name is Mr. Wayne, and we are going to continue with Lesson 10 under Emerging Cyber Crime Trends. And under Lesson 10, we are going to talk in detail about damages of distributed denial of service attacks. Damages of distributed denial of service attacks. We already mentioned this in some of the introduction topics. So today we are going to just do a review of understanding what is this damages of what are these distributed denial of service attacks, and then we will proceed from there. So to start off, we will have a look at an overview, and the overview is that damages of distributed denial of service attacks once focused largely on governments and financial institutions. But businesses throughout the entire private sector should consider the potential for this threat. So businesses across the board should consider denial of distributed denial of service attacks. Upon putting denial of distributed denial of service attacks in place, black hat hackers, you remember we spoke about black hat hackers, and we also spoke about white hat hackers, who are ethical hackers. So black hat hackers, who are the bad guys, can plunder an organization's databases with aplomb and self-operate secrets, or employee information on the black market, or simply hold the network hostage like a ransomware attack. How do we define these attacks? A distributed denial of service attack targets websites and servers by disrupting network services. It targets websites and servers by disrupting network services. Network services are disrupted. I believe you are aware of this, where you go to an organization, you want to do something, maybe it's a government office, and they tell you our systems are down. Our systems are down, which means the networks are disrupted, the systems are disrupted. Or you log into a particular account, let's say you want to access eCitizen, and you find that we cannot access this system at the moment. The system is down. This actually means that the networks are disrupted, the systems are disrupted, and it could be due for another reason, or it could be a distributed denial of service attack ongoing. This attack attempts to exhaust an application's resources. The perpetrators, who are the criminals behind these attacks, flood a site with errant traffic, resulting in poor website functionality or knocking it off online altogether. As we continue, we shall also talk about what we call the SIA triad, which is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Systems are supposed to be available, networks are supposed to be available for people who need to access information in a legitimate way, for information users, for authorized information users. So when the systems, or when the network is unavailable, that you cannot access information, then we say it results in a poor website functionality or knocking it off online altogether. How do these attacks occur? These attacks occur when legitimate users are unable to access information systems, devices, or other network resources due to the action of a malicious cyber threat actor. Services affected may include email, website, online accounts, e.g. banking, or other services that rely on the affected computer or network. So examples are email, websites, online accounts, e.g. banking, or other services that rely on the affected computer or network. You find that you are unable to access information. You need information, you need services, but you are unable to access these websites. You are unable to access the email accounts. You are unable to access banking facilities, among others. These types of attacks are on the rise. In the first half of 2021, Azure Networking reported a 25% increase in distributed denial of services attacks compared to fourth quarter in 2020. From there, Azure mitigated upwards of this number of unique attacks against its global infrastructure. You can imagine a number of almost 400,000 unique attacks against its global infrastructure during the second half of 2021. A 43% increase from the first half of the year, which means these attacks are actually on the increase. These attacks are wide-reaching, targeting all sorts of industries and companies of all sizes worldwide. With that stated, certain industries such as gaming, e-commerce, and telecommunications are targeted more than others. DDoS attacks are some of the most common cyber threats, and they can potentially compromise your business, online security, sales, and reputation. Keep in mind that distributed denial of services attacks are some of the most common cyber threats, and they can potentially compromise your businesses, online security, sales, and reputation. So if I ask you, please kindly state one of the most common cyber threat, I expect you to touch on distributed denial of service attacks, or what we call the BCE, BEC, business email compromise. These are some of the most common cyber threats. So when you are asked this question, then you should define what is a DDoS, and also you're supposed to mention how it happens, and also some types of these attacks. Keep that in mind. How does DDoS attacks work? During a denial of service attack, a series of boots or bootnet floods a website or service with HTTP requests and traffic. Essentially, multiple computers storm one computer during an attack, pushing out legitimate users. As a result, service can be delayed or otherwise disrupted for a length of time. Service can be delayed or otherwise affected or disrupted for a length of time. It is possible that hackers can also infiltrate your database during an attack, accessing all kinds of sensitive information. These attacks can exploit security vulnerabilities and be targeted at any endpoint that is reachable, publicly or through the internet. Denial of service attacks can last hours or even days. You have seen systems are not available, information is not available for days. These cyber assaults can also cause multiple disruptions throughout a single attack. Both personal and business devices are susceptible to them. So both personal and business devices are susceptible to them. Your mobile phone, your personal laptop can be attacked by these attacks, or your work network or your work computing system can be attacked by this kind of attacks. Types of DDoS attacks. There are several different types of DDoS attacks. In general, this attack falls under three primary categories: volumetric attack, protocol attack, and a resource layer attack. Volumetric attack, protocol attack, and a resource layer attack. Volumetric attacks. This kind of attack overwhelms the network layer with what initially appears to be legitimate traffic. This type of attack is the most common form of distributed denial of services attack. Volumetric attack overwhelms the network layer with what initially appears to be legitimate traffic. An example of this attack, volumetric attack, is a domain name server application which uses open DNS servers to flood a target with the DNS response traffic. Number two is a protocol attack. Causes a service disruption by exploiting a weakness in the layer 3 and layer 4 protocol stack. This kind of attack, which consumes all available server resources, making a server unavailable, is an example of such an attack. It consumes available server resources, thus making a server unavailable. And when the server is unavailable, then you are not able to access information from any part of your work area. You are not able to access information. You go to the office, you want to go into the CCTV system, you want to retrieve information, but the server is unavailable, you are not able to get any information. You become frustrated, you become really in a difficult situation because you cannot continue in operation. Number 3 is a resource or application layer attack. This one targets web application packets and disrupts the transmission of data between hosts. Example of this type of attack include HTTP protocol violations, SLQ injection, and cross-site scripting, and other layer 7 attacks. Also, note that cyber attackers might use one or multiple types of attacks against a network. So they may use volumetric, and they may use also the others, that protocol and the others that we have spoken about. For instance, an attack might start off as one class of attack and then morph into or combine with another threat to wreak havoc on a system. Additionally, there are a variety of cyber attacks within each category. The number of new cyber threats is on the rise and expected to climb as cyber criminals become more sophisticated. So as cyber criminals become more sophisticated, then the number of cyber attacks are likely to increase. And this is why we want you to go back to college. This is why we want to empower people. This is why we want to give people the knowledge on how to detect, on how to capture these attacks, and how what measures should be put in place. If there is a suspicion the network is under attack, it is important to act fast. On top of downtime, a distributed denial of service attack can leave the organization vulnerable to other hackers, malware, or cyber threats. Common denial of service attacks. There are many different methods for carrying out denial of service attack. The most common method of attack occurs when an attacker floods a network server with traffic. In this type of attack, the attacker sends several requests to the target server, overloading it with traffic. So the server is overloaded with traffic. These service requests are illegitimate and have fabricated return addresses, which mislead the server when it tries to authenticate the requester. To authenticate is to verify or to confirm the requester. As the junk requests are processed constantly, the server is overwhelmed, which causes a DOS condition to legitimate requesters. It causes now disruption to legitimate requesters that you cannot now access information because the server is overloaded. How do we detect and respond to this kind of attack? While there is no one way to detect a DDoS attack, there are a few signs to conclude the network is under assault. Number 1 is a surge in web traffic, seemingly out of nowhere, that is coming from the same IP address or range. A surge in web traffic. Number 2, slow or irregular network performance. When the network is not performing well, or when the network is very slow, then you may conclude that it could be a DDoS attack. And then the website, online store, or other services goes completely offline. The systems go completely offline, and this could be an indicator of this kind of attack. It is ongoing. Modern software solutions can help determine potential threats. A network security and monitoring service can alert to system changes so that response is quick. IT professionals and even security professionals, you should be aware there are modern software solutions that can help determine potential threats. And then there is a network security and monitoring service that can alert the system to changes so that a response is quick. So can you research on which are the modern software solutions that can help determine a potential distributed of denial services attack. Which are the modern softwares? Please write that down. Write down, do research on types of modern softwares that can help determine a potential DDoS attack. Have a DDoS attack action plan with defined roles and procedures so that the team can take swift and decisive action against these threats. It is important to remember that not all DDoS attacks are the same. Different response protocols are needed to mitigate different attacks. Just like in crime, not all crimes are the same. Crimes are different. For example, when you talk of murder itself, it is a different from each murder is different from the other. One murder may occur as a result of serious bodily harm from a blunt object, or one type of murder may occur as a result of a sharp penetration of a sharp weapon or a gunshot, such kind of situations. Or a murder can also occur in an arson. Arson is deliberately putting a structure on fire, deliberately burning a structure. So someone may decide to burn a house with the occupants inside, and then they die in the fire. So this person has committed murder through arson. Preventing DDoS attacks. Before a cyber threat is on the radar, a process for one is needed. Preparedness is key to promptly detecting and redeeming an attack. Actions. Develop a denial of service defense strategy to help detect, prevent, and reduce these attacks. Develop a denial of service defense strategy. Identify gaps in security and assess potential threats to your setup, and assess potential threats to your setup. So you have to do what we call an assessment. An assessment in order to identify gaps, or gaps are vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities are weaknesses in the system that attackers can use to target the system. And then update any protection software or technology and ensure it's working correctly. Update softwares, and then get the team on board and assign roles in the event of an attack. For example, if you're working in an office, you are a group of people working in the IT system or in the security system, then you should come up, put the team together, and go into a discussion. And how do we prevent these attacks, and how do we handle these attacks should they occur? It is essential to boost the efforts with the products, processes, and services that help secure the business. That way, once a threat is detected, the team is knowledgeable and empowered to act on it. We say it is essential to boost the efforts with products, processes, and services that help secure the business. That way, once a threat is detected, the team is knowledgeable and empowered to act on it. Protection. You have to guard the network against future attacks to help secure the business. Conduct a risk analysis on a regular basis to understand which areas of the organization need threat protection. Organize a DDoS attack response team whose focus is to identify and mitigate attacks. Incorporate detection and prevention tools throughout online operations and train users on what to look for. So evaluate the effectiveness of defense strategy, including running practice drills, and determine next steps. You know, in most organizations, even when we come to physical security, and even when we come to network security or IT system security, what is lacking is mostly running practice drills and determining the next steps. Most organizations, you find that these documents are in place, but nobody does run to see how can we respond if something occurs. So you should evaluate the effectiveness of the defense system strategy, including running practice drills and determine next steps. And then these attack protection comes in many forms, from online resources to monitoring software to threat detection tools. Learn how to thwart malicious attacks with the help of industry leading trusted Microsoft security experts. There are experts, not only Microsoft. There are a lot of experts in the field who can take you through how to put in place a defense strategy. The minimizing a risk of DDoS attack through securing cloud and the platforms, integrated security tools, and rapid response capabilities. Microsoft Security helps stop DDoS attacks across organizations. I have decided to use the Microsoft as an example because I want you to read that. Read how Microsoft helps to stop DDoS attacks across organizations. I'm using that as an example of one of the leading companies that have got very effective strategies or defense strategies of helping stop these kind of attacks. And then also secure the organization online. Cyber threats like DDoS attacks and malware can harm the website or online service and negatively affect functionality, customer trust, and sales. Remember, customer trust is something that is very important because it touches on reputation. Detect, defend, and secure the organization with integrated threat protection products and expert resources. The organization should be protected at all times so that business, online operation, and sensitive data is secure. Then also stay vigilant against threats. Distributed denial of attacks are prevalent and cost business anywhere from thousands of even millions of dollars a year. With the proper planning, solid resources, and trusted software, organizations can help minimize your risk of attack. With the proper planning. Planning is also lacking in most organizations, and also resources, especially in our setup in Kenya. Resources are usually a problem, and also, well, how do you identify that this software that you want to use as a defense strategy is a trustful software? Then organizations can help the risk of preventing the risk of attack through some of the areas we have mentioned. And then stop breaches across entire organization. Secure all clouds and platforms. Protect Azure, AWS, and the Google Cloud, as well as Windows, Mac, Linux, iOS, Android, and also Internet of Things platforms. Empower rapid response. Help security operations team resolve threats faster with artificial intelligence, automation, and expertise. My friend, as we move even beyond this course, read something about artificial intelligence, about automation, and about how you become an expert, or how you grow and become an expert in this field. It is very important for you to develop yourself further by reading journals and reading magazines and books. I've always spoken about you doing research on your own and developing yourself further. And then we say, get leading integrated security tools. Prevent, detect, and respond to attacks with building unified experiences and end-to-end XDR capabilities. And then stop ransomware. Create a response plan to prevent and respond to pervasive threats like human-operated and commodity ransomware. Embrace proactive security with zero trust. There is something we call zero trust in the cybersecurity industry. We'll talk about it. Real-world deployments and attacks are shaping the future of zero trust. We will look at it briefly. What is zero trust? As security professionals defend increasingly dispersed and complex enterprise networks from sophisticated cyber threats. Embracing a zero trust security model and the mindset necessary to develop and operate a system engineered according to zero trust principles can better position them to secure sensitive data systems and services. You can just think about zero trust. Zero trust means you trust no one, don't trust anybody. In the cybersecurity and even in the entire security mentality, we don't trust anybody. Don't trust anybody. Always be on your guard. Then zero trust is a security model, a set of system design principles, and a coordinated cybersecurity and system management strategy based on acknowledgement that threats exist both inside and outside traditional network boundaries. The zero trust security model eliminates implicit trust in any one element, node, or service, and instead requires continuous verification of the operational picture via real-time information feed from multiple sources to determine access and other system responses. The zero trust security model assumes that a breach is inevitable or has likely already occurred. So it assumes a breach is inevitable or has already occurred. So it constantly limits access to only what is needed and looks for anomalies or malicious activity. Zero trust embeds comprehensive security monitoring, granular risk-based access controls, and system security automation in a coordinated manner throughout all aspects of the infrastructure in order to focus on protecting critical assets data in real time within a dynamic threat environment. This data-centric security model allows the concept of least privileged access to be applied for every access decision, allowing or ordaining access to resources based on the combination of several contextual factors. Zero trust principles include 1. Verify explicitly. Always authenticate and authorize based on all available data points, including user identity, location, device health, service or workload, data classification, and anomalies. So verify. And then 2, use least privilege access. Limit user access with just in time and just enough access, risk-based adaptive policies, and data protection to help secure both data and productivity. Assume breach. Minimize blast radius and segment access. Verify end-to-end encryption and use analytics to get visibility. Drive threat detection and improve defenses. We have come to the end of this presentation, touching on the damages caused by distributed denial of services attacks, and we have seen that even it is self-explanatory that definitely the company will lose in terms of financial impact. The company is also going to lose in terms of reputation, loss of sales, and then also loss of customer trust in their operations. You see, when your company, your systems are down, customers will not understand that maybe you are under attack. Customers will end up concluding that you are ineffective, that your work is not up to the required standard. With those few remarks, I say thank you for listening to me. I am planning by tomorrow, I'll send you additional notes and you start preparing for the exam, because we have got only this weekend and next weekend, and then we do the exam. So I will send you the notes. You start preparing for the exams and get ready. If possible, I will also send you additional recordings for the remaining topics that are equally important to what we are learning. So thank you for listening to me, and have a great time. Bye-bye.